Hello and welcome to Graphic Online News in Brief. In the headlines, President Akufo-Addo calls on African journalists to partner governments to achieve development. Charitable organization to build 5,000 schools to eliminate schools under trees in Ghana. Third tertiary business sense challenge of graphic business launched. And father arrested for burying disabled child alive. News in Brief is brought to you by.
Download your Graphic News Plus now and choose your preferred package daily, weekly, monthly, and annually, and access free news on various interest areas as well. Graphic News Plus, connecting people through news.
And now the news in brief. President Akufo-Addo is calling on journalists and media practitioners on the African continent to partner with their respective governments to address issues on security, climate change, health, and the sanctity of water bodies. He says such a partnership will provide journalists the freedom to criticize and also for the media to accept criticism on their works.
President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the opening ceremony of the African Journalist Leaders Conference in Accra on Tuesday, June 1, which aims at promoting press freedom on the continent. He is urging journalists to use the conference to address the phenomena of misinformation and fake news. The ceremony was attended by African journalists, media practitioners, representatives from the African Union, and government officials.
I thank you, the journalists of this country and of this continent, for keeping our governments accountable. It is the media above all that has encouraged our people to come more and more discerning, vocal, and questioning as a civic public. We have recently had a good example of how the media can be a force for good, and that was manifested in how we've been dealing with COVID-19. Without a lively press that worked hand in hand to deliver not only the news about the outbreak of COVID-19, but also to communicate the strategies and public health messages that have been put in place around the continent, we would be telling a very different story today. Journalists did and continue to do a yeoman's job in the public education of the citizenry about COVID-19 and vaccination efforts across the continent. Journalists in this instance were and are partners to government across the continent, and through this joint effort have helped save the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of African citizens. And I pay homage to the efforts of our journalists. There are three other matters of continental and national significance for which I appeal for the committed partnership of government and the media. The fight against terrorism and violent extremism, which are threatening the stability of all regions of our continent.
President Akufo-Addo also condemned attacks on journalists, urging them also to report facts and resist being influenced by people.
It cannot be right, no matter where in the world, the journalists are physically attacked or prevented from doing their work. Once that happens, it is an attack on media freedom, and it must be roundly condemned by all. As George Orwell rightly puts it, and I quote, "Freedom of the press, if it means anything at all, means the freedom to criticize and oppose," unquote. However, there seems to be an emerging narrative which is being proffered by some in Ghana that critiquing the work of a journalist constitutes an attack on media freedom. That certainly cannot be described as an attack on media freedom. Having the freedom to criticize and oppose should also mean that the media is ready to accept and work with criticisms of its work by the citizenry or officialdom.
A charitable institution, Valco Trust Fund, has launched a Zero School Under Trees project. It seeks to construct 5,000 schools over a period of 5 years, starting June 1, 2021. The aim of the project is to eliminate the schools under trees phenomenon, as well as reconstruct deplorable schools across the country.
The entire project, which is estimated at the cost of 3.5 billion cedis, is in partnership with the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Energy, and the Ministry of Education. According to the Executive Director of the fund, Mr. Calvin Yeboah, a total of 500 kindergarten schools under trees 2 deplorable junior high schools, and 1 deplorable primary school across the country would be built between 1st June and 31st December 2021. Mr. Yeboah was speaking during a press conference in Accra on Tuesday, June 1, to present details of the project.
Ladies and gentlemen, we at Akufo-Addo Trust have shown a commitment by leading this project with our meager initial amount of 6,800,000 to start the construction of 18 schools. Funding for the remaining 482 schools for this year shall be sought from all Ghanaians, both home and abroad, as well as all well-meaning institutions. As we get more money, we will be adding on more schools until we build the 500 schools for the year. In view of this, we have set up a Akufo-Addo Trust Fund Schools on the Peace Project account with the following banks. And we will plead with all well-meaning institutions and individuals to donate to help us complete our target of building 500 KG schools under the vision of the country by end of year 2021. The banks are GCB Bank, CBG Bank Ghana, Omni Bisek Bank Ghana, and UNB Bank Ghana Limited.
The battle lines have been drawn for the 3rd edition of the Tertiary Business Sense Challenge, instituted by Graphic Business, starting from Monday 7 June to Sunday 20th June this year. The Tertiary Business Sense Challenge tests the knowledge of business of contesting schools with an ultimate prize and bragging rights at stake. 21 schools across the country will face off in the current edition.
The launch of the educative contest among tertiary educational institutions came off Tuesday, and the parents have the Bolgatanga Technical University take on the University of Cape Coast. It is followed by All Nations University versus Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and then Tamale Technical University against Ghana Communication Technology University. There is also Accra Technical University versus Radford University. Central University will meet Ho Technical University, while Accra Institute of Technology meets Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. African University College of Communication will also face off with the University of Professional Studies, Accra. Come with us to the TV3 Executive Studio to see how the launch went.
We've seen the version 1, we've seen the version 2, we are here for the version 3. And very soon, I believe that the version 3 would take off. On behalf of everybody, once again, I officially launch the version 3 of the Tertiary Business School Challenge, and may the best school wins.
A father of 5 who allegedly buried his physically challenged child alive at Breman Brakwa in the Central Region has been remanded by the Breman Isikuma Magistrate Court. Paul Adobao is said to have buried his 18-month-old child under the direction of one Amma Nkansa, thought to be a prophetess, but currently on the run.
The police say they are making efforts to arrest the said prophetess. Meanwhile, Adobao is to reappear in court on August 31. The Central Regional Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Ayunopon, says preliminary investigations revealed that Adobao buried his child to avoid further giving birth to disabled children as instructed by the prophetess. She said the police found a grave covered behind a building in which the body of the child was found and has since been deposited at the mortuary for preservation and autopsy.
Thank you for watching. We will see you again tomorrow with another edition. Stay safe and protect yourself from COVID-19. For more news, visit graphic.com.gh or log on to Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube at Graphic GH. I am Juliet Echa Safo.
Subscribe now.